Good evening, everybody. How we doing? My name is Casey. This is Taylor. Welcome back tonight to our little Mass Effect how-to video of our little game that we have created. Both of us are from HSC. And tonight, this is our last episode. Is that right, Taylor?
This is it. We're going to give the last bit of knowledge, and then you got to go. You just got to go play it. Or join our Discord and ask us more questions, because we're totally about that.
Yeah, either one works for me. So tonight, a little bit of the overview. We're going to go over weapons, armor reloading, shields, drugs, if you're into that kind of thing. How game balance for you GMs, how to set up your bad guys and stuff like that. So yeah, man, let's just, as if Philly D says, let's just jump right into it.
Yeah.
So tonight, one of the main things that I loved about Mass Effect, especially 2 and 3, are the weapons. All of the guns. All of them. And at this point, if you go and look, we have also made basically a Chromebook. Because again, remember, this is a play-on with Cyberpunk Red. This is our Chromebook of Omega. Yeah.
The old one's back there.
The weapons are replacements and upgrades to your basic Cyberpunk weapons. Each have a damage that is listed, and some of you are going to realize, especially you veteran ones, oh, these damages are way higher than usual. That's because of Mass Effect guns. So concealability, rate of fire, all of that is in there. Taylor has done a wonderful job at making a lovely
I like spreadsheets
to explain everything. It's easy to pick up to. Obviously, we didn't change anything in the sense of how shotguns, rifles, and pistols work. They all still run off at the same range.
Yep.
But there are some notable differences. One of the big ones is that a lot of these guns have extra abilities that just didn't come in Cyberpunk. We're kind of bringing back a little bit of the 2020 vibe that we liked out of that.
Yeah, you can pick a weapon you really like. One, maybe because it looks cool, but then also you can really search for, because I feel I miss that in Cyberpunk Red of okay, well, I already have a decent quality heavy pistol. I'm done now. You don't get to loot Goblin. Now you get to, because it's ooh, but I want that executioner pistol that guy has. I want to try it and search for stuff again, which brings a little of that D&D or other things in, where it feels like you get a magical item, something you're looking for.
And some of these guns are automatically armor piercing now, the Maddox. If anybody remembers in Mass Effect 2, 3, that gun was powerful enough to shoot through armor, and it would chew up armor. I don't know how many other people did this. I know in the game, I did it's not rapid fire, bump stock, baby. Became automatic all of a sudden, and then they gave us a Harrier, which I'm oh, you're cheating. But yeah, so the Maddox is armor piercing. Also, there's different tier levels. So we got common. That's where you're gonna find your common assault rifle that you get in the game. Was it M96? Uncommon, your Maddox. Rare, Geth shotgun, right? And then in 7, your Black Widow, your Typhoon, your Crusader.
I got 2 of those.
You would have had 3 if you didn't blow up the building. But yeah,
if y'all want to know what we're talking about, go watch Omega. Details.
Or watch him slowly destroy my beautiful world that I set up. Nah, I'm kidding. My game isn't anything without my players. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So yeah, that's just a little bit of what's going on there. So GMs, especially new GMs, we got it all squared away for you. Veteran GMs, I hope that you look at this and you feel a little bit of Cyberpunk 2020 coming back, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of the balance that we wanted to strike here, is to give everybody something they wanted, right?
Yeah. With that being said, though, you may have a little bit of 2020 coming back, but when it comes to rate of fire, your ammo, we're sticking with red. We're not getting too complicated. We're not going that far back in 2020. So keep in mind, well, yes, ammo in Mass Effect is different, and we've accepted that. Instead, Casey is probably better at the science with it, but instead of, buying actual armor-piercing ammo, you're gonna buy like armor-piercing mods and different things like that, because it's your heat sinks that we're worrying about, but for ease and conversion into Cyberpunk, auto fire is still going to be the same amount of bullets. You're going to assume you have 25 shots before you have to reload, it overheats. Kind of if you're about bullet counting, which I am not, but if you are, that's important.
So like the easiest way to make it a quick, simplification, especially with like to break it down stupid simple for you when it comes to reload. Basically, in the game, you're shooting tungsten that's shaved out from a Mass Effect field in the gun. So you don't have actual bullets, you have tungsten in there that gets shaved off. In Mass Effect 1, you just could, if you had the right mods, you could just hold the gun down forever. Well, they wanted to kind of get rid of that. So what they ended up doing is, I killed Saren on insanity that way. So what they ended up doing is they introduced heat sinks in 2 and 3. So that's where I get my bullet counts. You're not necessarily going through bullets, you're going through heat sinks. So people who are rolling around with the Typhoon, I say 30 rounds. In my mind, it's like 3 heat sinks. Taylor, you got a Black Widow, or you got a Widowmaker. No, you have a Black Widow.
Black Widow.
So it's like 3 shots, and then you got to reload, right? Yeah. It's how I've kind of balanced. Is it perfect? No, but we ain't trying to redesign the entire game here.
Yeah.
So like that's just a simple oversimplification of what's going on there. Just kind of think of like, oh, it's not bullets, it's heat sinks. As for mods, we have like armor piercing, the core ones, armor piercing, because some guns aren't. Warp, cryo, and inferno. Yeah, inferno. Mm-hmm. Now, in later editions, which we will have, I might add explosion rounds. And some other rounds that are fun. But as of right now, this is where we're at. What else do we have?
So now let's say you're getting shot at instead of doing the shooting. Let's explain shields. And this has been a huge topic when we started building biotics, and we talked a little bit about this in biotics. So let me just give a whole rundown of the shield. You have a Mass Effect shield. It is attached to your armor in a way. It is a passive armor ability. So if your ass is just walking out of the bar in your street clothes, nah, you don't have that at Mass Effect shield. So keep that in mind. But it is a extra little group of SP. We have it at 15 as standard, though GMs take that, make it less, make it more, do whatever you wish. I don't want to suggest more because then you'll never be able to kill your player. Hurt your players. Challenge your players. But you have this Mass Effect shield, and it is going to absorb damage. So it's, you take 20 damage, 15 of that goes to your shield. Your shields are gone now. And then the 5 will go through. So that's kind of how that works in general. But the fun thing is, like in Mass Effect, they can recharge, though it is going to take 3 rounds of either being in cover, out of combat, not getting shot at, to be able to, regenerate those so it will come back online. A thing to note too with the shields, they are going to take full damage from things like melee, brawling, biotics. Those things that ignore half armor are still going to be full damage to your shield. So you're not going to have to do any of that math. Someone punches you for 10 of your armor or your shield is gone. So that's a thing to note. Also, talking about biotics, unless Casey, did you have something on that point before I talk about our hierarchy of shields, because we have so many?
No. Yeah, go ahead. No, go right on ahead.
Yeah, so we talked to said a little bit about this in the biotic one, but there are a lot of ways to stop damage in this game if you play your cards right. So little GM a tip here. First, if you have a biotics player, let's just say Biotic Sphere, That's the first thing that's going to get hit always, and it will absorb, it will take full damage. It works like that. If they also have barrier, that would be the next thing. Takes full damage, absorbs, all of that. Then it goes, if you've got any sort of like handheld shields and stuff, like, you know, just a normal or a human body, anything that someone is holding to use as a shield or cover, that would then come next. Oh, actually, I lied. We're gonna redo this. Handheld should be before barrier, because barrier is like on your body.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
I switched it in my head.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to all of the tons and tons and tons of ways damage can be stopped in this game, let's just for ease sake say you have just a super badass adept player. So first, biotic sphere. That's gonna be the first thing that's gonna take damage. It's a big old bloop bloop. It's gone. It'll absorb full damage. It'll work just like, you know, any sort of Mass Effect D biotic shield. Then we're gonna talk about cover, or any handheld, whether that be a human shield, a actual shield. That'll be the next thing to take damage. Then it'll go if they have a biotic barrier. The barrier would be the next thing that gets hit. It is a Mass Effect field or a biotic field very close to the body right above your Mass Effect shield, which would then be the next thing that would take damage. There's so many things here, guys. Then after that's gone, armor, then finally your actual HP. So if you got a beefed up adept behind cover, good luck.
In fairness to you GMs, no starter character should be set up like that unless you're playing at high end, and then your bad guys better be Reaper levels.
Yeah.
Because trust me, I'm starting to run into that. And now I'm just throwing literal explosions at them. I'm like, fine, 8d6 for everybody.
Which is great. But remember, biotic sphere, barriers, Mass Effect shields, they absorb damage. Yeah. Explosions aren't going to just rip through them like they would the cover or the handheld shields, which will do the normal explosion rules of Cyberpunk Red, where if damage goes through, all of it goes to you. So
easiest way, if you hold it and it takes damage and the damage goes all the way through, it explodes. Yeah. If it's an energy shield, it just takes the damage no matter what.
Just absorbs it. Yeah. But yeah, that's the general hierarchy of SP stopping thing, like SP that your players could ever get. So if you ever get into a little pickle there, just think biotic sphere, physical cover, handheld, barrier, Mass Effect shield, armor, HP.
Also, a little quick note before we move on. Though it hasn't come up in our personal game, which I'm afraid when this video comes out, our little Solarian scientists will render that quickly. Techies, especially you cybertech guys, it's not in the book, but there is a logical argument that you can upgrade these to get your downtime lower. Also, just as a reminder, especially to you new GMs who are not used to Cyberpunk, every combat round is 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's not long.
It's not long. That's why I said 3, because usually it takes about 6 seconds to show, or so, a little bit longer, depending on what you are, for your shields to come back in Mass Effect. You can also get modules to bring that down. Hence, techies, you can upgrade that to get it to go down to 3 seconds. It's a nightmare. But anyway, just keep that in mind, y'all. Just you GMs and you techies out there, keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yep. Next, the fun thing. Drugs. So we'll start with just a little rundown of the actual Mass Effect ones that are listed in here. We have the Medi-Gel and how all of that works. The Medi-Gel X3, is that how you say that?
Medi-Gel.
Yeah. Red Sand, and then Helix. So those are all in here. But then we also have a fifth one, which is from our personal game. It's horchata. We had a joke about muscle milk making our like solo really beefy. It turned into the vorcha make the muscle milk, which obviously led to horchata. Thank you, Jake, for that beautiful name that will live on forever.
Yep. It's now in our book. So the long story short is that any physical attribute, so your brawling, your shooting, your reflexes, it gets a +2. Awesome, right?
Down the hatch.
Yeah, down the hatch. Oh yeah, solos, especially you smart solos. If you take this, the negative side effect is that you lose 2 points of intelligence. So
and empathy.
And empathy. It can stack. So be careful. But what is it? The last now it goes different.
Yeah, so every dose after 2. So after you've chugged 2 of horchata, anything else you take, you must make a resist torture drugs check, DV15, or suffer the secondary effects, which is essentially a little bit of a rage out. You know, you're all like muscled up. You're hulking. You're straight up hulking. You are on the power. And so you'll kind of rage out, meaning your sense of reason has been overthrown. Based on the GM's discretion, rolls that may be made, you may have to just attack random people. Have fun with that.
Random civilians, your own teammate, the bad guys, who knows? So we did strike up a balance with this. So yes, it can stack, but it's going to suck.
Yeah. Yep.
So hell, I've made our little solo have how many bad flashbacks here recently?
Yeah.
PTSD coming down, because the coming down isn't fun either. GMs remember that. The stuff, if you have this is where you can introduce that tragic backstory of your solo. PTSD's a thing.
Oh yeah, make him have that Mad Max flashbacks of like people that he's loved and lost to his own hands or actions. But then on a more fun side, Medi-Gel. Basically, you can use it when a character drops to that mortally wounded state. A med tech can kind of pop that on their Omni tool to your armor's talking chips and get some healing going. But we're running short on time, so go through Red Sand, obviously dangerous. Go check those out. If you have any questions, go to our Discord, because the last thing we want to talk about before we leave is balancing. Casey, talk about the bad guys. Talk about balancing.
Okay, so real quick, guys, I cannot stress to you at the end of we get to the end of this, your session 0 is the most important thing you can do in this game, because it will help you set up. It will help you set up how you're going to have your balance and how you're going to have your bad guys. Long story short, if you're playing a gutter punk style game in this, you should not have a Spectre be the first bad guy they show up with unless they're like running away from it. Vice versa, if you're basically creating Spectres and you're allowing your players to have these powerful guns and abilities right off the bat, you need to bring that kind of level into the game. So I cannot stress how much that you need to have that session 0 so you know how to strike that balance. And even then, it's going to take a minute because you're dealing with a whole lot of stuff. Your mirror mechs, stuff like that, bad guys. Your guys are getting used to this. So like I said, really have that discussion with your players on what kind of game they want to play. Take my team, for example, here. They started out as mid-level, side hustle mercenaries. And now they're moving into low-level special agents and severed operatives. Eventually probably Spectres, because now they have Spectres hunting them. So like that's how you have to kind of gauge it. So again, I cannot stress how much that you need to have that session 0 on the combat thing. On combat real quick, with this, make it fun, guys.
Yes.
Also, you'll notice in a lot of our games, you go see me as a GM, I think I've only had you guys roll initiative maybe 10 times.
Yeah.
GMs, If your players do a good job stealthing in somewhere, allow them to have that attack. Think, ironically, realistically. If they snuck in and all of them are running 30s, I don't care. You're not going to have a guard on the other side of the room like, see ya. Don't do D&D. Play this somewhat realistically. Allow your players to have fun with this. And if they get the drop on them, that's how the combat rolls. Let them all have one round, then let your bad guys have one round. And then after that, maybe you roll initiative, or maybe all your bad guys are dead. You know? But if your players do a good job, allow that. Don't get bogged down. Just don't get bogged down in initiative order. Some of you are going to be like, oh, I hate that. But it seems to work well here. But that's about it. We have a couple other things, but I think we're kind of running short on time.
Yes.
We do have in the PDF below, we do have a Paragon and Renegade system, real quick, that can help you in negotiations in certain areas. It is subject to change because we're still working the kinks out. But I wanted to go ahead and give that to you guys, so check it out in the PDF. If you have any questions, again, link down below, join our Discord, message me. Oh, you can find me at Tabletop Trucker and on Twitter.
Tabletop Trucking.
Trucking. Or Truckin. IN at the end. Truckin. IN.
We Southern. We say trucking around here.
You'll find it in the bottom of the description, right? Or you can find Taylor as well. She has just as much knowledge on this as I do. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it, guys. Hopefully, again, when this comes out, it should be released.
Yes. Yeah. It's there. It's there. Putting it into the universe. It is there. And this is the last time we get to do it. Hey, have fun and play well.
May all your rolls be crits.